Part 2 of Module 11 will be looking at managing change and innovation. More specifically, we will be looking at managing change and looking a bit more closely at introducing innovation. If an organisation wants to introduce a change, what is it that can be changed? The figure on this slide shows 3 things that organisations might change. The structure of the organisation, such as introducing a more decentralised structure. The technology used within the organisation, such as when processes within the organisation become automated and done by machines rather than people. And organisations can change the perceptions, attitudes and behaviours of the people of the organisation, such as you might use in sensitivity training. When an organisation wants to manage change, they will often use a change agent to manage change. The change agent could be a single person or a team that leads the change. Sometimes a change agent is a specialist that's brought in from outside the organisation. There are different models for managing change. One model for managing planned change is Lewin's 3 phases of planned change. The first step for managing planned change is unfreezing, where people within the organisation are prepared for change. In this step, people have to see the problems with current practices so that they can accept the need for change. Helping people to see the need for change might involve clear explanations of the problems and environmental pressures the organisation is facing, as well as some opportunities that changes could bring. Some degree of conflict can be useful in this stage of the change process. The second step, the changing process, is when something new is introduced and implemented, based on a good diagnosis of problems and the possible alternatives available. Lewin argued that if changes are introduced too quickly, then resistance and failure to successfully implement changes could result. The third step of Lewin's model of planned change is the refreezing step, when changes are stabilised so that long-term success is more likely. Refreezing is done through rewarding desired performance, reinforcing behaviours and providing all the resources needed to help support people with implementing the required changes. Lewin's model is consistent with a calm view of change, where the organisation introduces a planned change in response to a disruption, and then a new state of equilibrium is achieved. The environment that most organisations face is more dynamic, which creates challenges in using the planned model of change. Another model for managing change in organisations is through a comprehensive planned change management technique called organisational development. This model takes a behavioural approach to managing change to develop the organisation's ability to deal with the environment and solve problems for the long term. Organisation development has outcome goals as well as process goals that focuses on improving people in the organisation in order to improve the capacity to change. Organisation development follows a similar process to Lewin's 3-stage model, beginning with diagnosing problems, which is similar to unfreezing, then using an intervention, which is similar to the changing stage, and then ending with an evaluation, which is similar to refreezing. As organisation development is people-focused, interventions are often focused on helping people within the organisation to become more active and self-reliant in order to support continuous changes in the future. The diagram on this slide lists some individual team and organisation-wide interventions that can be used in the organisation development process. Cotter studied the change efforts of many organisations and developed an 8-step guide to leading a change process to transform organisations. Cotter's ideas were based on the failures and successes of the organisations he studied. From the errors of other organisations, Cotter recommended that managing change requires organisations to establish a sense of urgency. Cotter found that over 50% of change efforts failed to establish sufficient urgency for change because it's very difficult to get people out of their comfort zone, because it can be unpleasant to anticipate employee reactions, and because leaders try to rush through the process. In the second step, Cotter noted that a large number of senior managers need to guide the change process, because if there are not enough of the senior managers or the guiding team is not powerful enough, then change efforts tend to fail. In step 3, Cotter said that a compelling vision of the future beyond the change helps to sell the change effort. In step 4, Cotter said organisations need to communicate their vision widely through all available communication channels, through many meetings with many different employees, and, quite importantly, through modelling the new behaviours required by the change. If people within the organisation cannot see the managers modelling those new behaviours, they become cynical about change efforts. Step 5 requires empowering others to act on the vision. Sometimes people face psychological or organisational obstacles in taking actions that support change efforts, and so leaders need to make sure that employees are supported enough and resourced enough to be able to act. Step 6 asks leaders to create wins within the first 12 months of change efforts in order to help motivate employees to continue efforts and to be able to demonstrate successful results. Step 7 asks leaders to use the credibility obtained from those short-term wins to go after bigger problems in systems and structures that need to be changed to conform with the change vision. This helps to overcome issues with premature celebration that can lead to change being stopped. Finally, in Step 8, changes need to be incorporated into the organisation culture through developing stories to show people how new approaches, behaviours and attitudes have helped improve outcomes. Also, new behaviours need to be included in promotion requirements in order to ensure that the next lot of senior managers also support the change efforts. Change is intertwined with the process of creativity and organisational innovation. A system view of innovation proposes that incorporating creativity across all parts of the business, from the inputs through the process of transformation and in terms of the outputs offered. Inputs need creative individuals, groups and organisations. The transformation process requires creative processes and creative situation, and outputs require creative products and work methods. There are two types of innovation: process innovations and product innovations. As you can see on the slide, process innovations refer to better ways of doing things, while product innovations refer to new or improved goods and services. Hamill's Wheel of Innovation proposes that managing innovation requires creating ideas, doing initial experimentations, testing the feasibility of the idea, and assessing the strengths and weaknesses of the innovation, and then the final application, where the innovation is commercialised, scaled up and sold. In the Williams reading, innovation is managed through supporting sources of innovation, managing innovation through discontinuous change, through supporting experimentation in highly uncertain environments, and through managing innovation through incremental change where environments are more stable. While innovation can be thought about as a process or product, another way of thinking about innovation is through thinking about the characteristics of innovative organisations. We're often quite familiar with innovative organisations, and often when we think about innovation, we're thinking about those highly innovative organisations. Some examples of highly innovative organisations include Apple, Samsung and Google, the top 3 most innovative companies in 2013. As we can see on this slide, highly innovative organisations accept ambiguity well, can tolerate impractical answers, have minimal policies or regulations to control the organisation, encourage employees to take risks, and develop diverse opinions that may conflict with each other. Innovative organisations have clear goals and support their staff to develop their own ways of achieving those goals. And finally, innovative organisations have an open system focus that can rapidly respond to changes that occur in the environment. Innovative organisations have similar characteristics to change-capable organisations. Characteristics of change-capable organisations include the capacity to link the present to the future, to embrace lifelong learning, provide support to allow staff to make improvements and changes, and build a culture of trust. Change-capable organisations ensure a highly diverse workforce and encourage mavericks. Sometimes innovative organisations are highly innovative because of their attempts to address environmental and social issues and embrace sustainability. For example, the Grameen Bank, a microfinance social enterprise in India, is an example of an innovative organisation focused on sustainability. In summary, we've looked at some different ways that organisations can manage change: Lewin's model of planned change, organisational development, and Kotter's 8 steps. We also introduced ideas of innovation and some characteristics of highly innovative organisations. This brings us to the end of part 2 of our Module 11 lecture.